My name is Christian Basel. Years ago, I had an idea. I got myself a Tardis. Took it to new places, met a lot of new people, took some great pictures, and talked Doctor Who. From Krypton Radio and the creators of the Hanging With Web show, this is the legend of the traveling TARDIS. Join me on my latest adventures and become part of the legend. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show. Whether you're watching us on this live feed, we thank you for joining us today there. Also, if you get a chance, you can like us on the YouTube channel. You can just go to HWWS Media for all the family media sponsors that we have out there, including the Orlando Wizard and Saturday Morning Cartoons. There's a ton of content at the Hanging With Web show media. Again, it's HWWS Media down there. You can also check us out on Spreaker, also on CBS Radio at cbsradio.com. You can also check us out on Spotify, Apple PodTunes. Also, weekly, we're having our show twice a week, every Saturday. Check out your local listen times at kryptonradio.com. And also, we just recently joined this little venture, the nsclivetv.com. All you have to do is pull up the link there. We are on channel, I believe it's channel 47, but you can check a look at that. Go down to nsclivetv.com and check it out over there. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our first live special after CyberCon. My name is Christian Basel. I am the host of the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show, and let me bring up the team here. First of all, let me bring up our special guest. Now, for some of you who may not be familiar with the 1996 TV movie starring Paul McGann, or maybe have seen it and it's been a while, this is the guy who we're interviewing today. That is a lovely picture.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, right. And you got the jelly baby, too. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you. That's what he looks like today, and that's what he looks like with the TARDIS. And is that Eric Roberts? Holy
That
cow.
is, I'm being molested by Eric. Eric's molesting me right there. Yeah.
I hate to say it, but out of the three, you seem to have aged the best. You know?
Oh, God.
Hey, I like EG. I like
EG's doing just fine, I got to tell you.
No
problem there.
He's got gray hair there. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce our special guest today, Jeremy Radick. How are you doing there, Jeremy?
Good. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
No, thanks for there and being on over there. And also, we've got our special guest panelists. Let me introduce them. Also, gentlemen, down to my the other. I can't point. Dave Chapman from the Rat Hole. Dave, there's a great picture of Dave right there. And if you want to check out his stuff, go down. There you go. Go down to the rathole.ca. For all of our folks in the States, that means Canada. Anyway, Dave, tell a little bit about yourself, and for the folks who may not be familiar with the Rat Hole itself there.
Sure. Basically, I review board games, I review role-playing games, anything tabletop. You can find it on the rathole.ca is the main website. Social medias, the rathole.ca, except for Twitter, which is the rathole.ca, because Twitter doesn't let you have a dot.
Oh, gosh. Okay, that's great.
Did that go through?
That went through real well. No, you're fine. You're fine. Speaking of losing people, and I'm going to give her a hard time over here because I'm going to introduce you to our lovely director and artist, Melanie Dean. Hello, Melanie.
That was a quick flash of a photo, like boom, boom. Here she is. Good.
Longer there. That's fine.
Here I am.
Wait, is that covering up Brian? Good, we'll leave it up there. That's fine.
Oh, leave Brian alone.
Yeah, leave hers up. She's way prettier than me. Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
And folks, welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS for our first live feed. Thank you for joining us here. And don't forget your comments. You can chat with us, all five of us, during this special recording down there. If you've got a question for Jeremy or Melanie or Dr. Freedom or Dave or myself, you're more than welcome to go ahead. Make sure you click on the link and we'll be going over your comments. But first, ladies and gentlemen, as always do, and for those of you just joining us on the live feed, we do something special called the Who Knew News. This is brought to you by Dr.
All righty. First up on the Who Knew News today, we have former Doctor Who showrunners interview each other. Now, apparently in the latest issue of Doctor Who magazine, former showrunners Russell T. Davies and Stephen Moffat interview each other, discussing their best scripts, leaving the show, and much more. Now, they have a little bit of an extract here in the article I'm reading, but I'll take all. But Doctor Who, this will be in Doctor Who magazine issue number 551, which will be on sale this Thursday. So this is something you may want to check out because it's kind of like a meeting of the minds of two former showrunners. Kind of weird to see those two together,
Yeah.
So
what else we got?
Oh,
What else we got? No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, next up, we have the Time Lord Victorious. It's going to be a new multi-platform adventure, and this is over on the Big Finish website. They're talking about this, but BBC Studios is pleased to announce that Doctor Who will be the focus of a multi-platform story launching later this year. Time Lord Victorious will see partners including Penguin Random House, Doctor Who Magazine, Titan Comics, Escape on Big Finish Productions, Eagle Moss Hero Collector, Immersive Everywhere, Maze Theory, BBC Books, and BBC Audio, and they're all going to unite to tell this brand new Doctor Who story. Now, apparently, this is a new and untold story set within the dark times at the start of the universe when even the Eternals were young, and it's going to follow several Doctors across space and time as they defend their home planet from a terrible race. This story is like no other.
And this is supposed to be multimedia, Big Finish, comics, books. I mean, the whole 9 yards on this, right?
The whole enchilada. I'm not kidding. There's more there than I can even name in one breath.
There is a quick little Easter egg about that I saw in one of the emails, that if you go from the email into the website to tell you about it, it says at the very end, stay tuned for further information about the Time Lord Victorious. In the meantime, see if you could find it in our stories page. So if you're bored and insane like me, and you click on your stories page, and it's basically a scroll of all of the episodes, season by season, you'll see all of a sudden between Waters of Mars and End of Time Part 1, that's where this is. So they kind of gave you a little hint of where that portion is going to be set. But everything will be timey-wimey. You never know.
That's a very interesting point to put it, because, that goes right with the Time Lord Victorious thing. So, that's really neat. Okay, next up, Peter Capaldi reads Frank Cottrell Boyce's story for the Emergency Care Fund. Now, actor Peter Capaldi showed his story for the National Brain Appeals Emergency Care Fund by recording himself reading a chapter from the author and screenwriter Frank Cottrell Boyce's book, The Runaway Robot. Now, Capaldi, of course, starred in 2 Doctor Who stories written by Cottrell Boyce, In the Forest of the Night and Smile. So it's kind of nice because I remember this book. I read this when I was a teenager. It's a very, very fun story. It's pretty good for all ages. It's especially good for younger readers, especially if you're breaking into sci-fi, because I remember it very vividly, because it was a good entry. The scary part is I can actually remember the plot. So it must have been good, because that was like 30 years ago. So okay, so interesting. Okay, and lastly for today, now as you all know, they've been talking about doing these, lockdown listen, watch-ins and all that. But this one's going to be the first ever Big Finish Doctor Who listening party. And it's going to take place this Friday at 7 p.m. UK time. And they're going to be listening to the Chimes of Midnight, which is a Big Finish production from way back, starring Paul McGann and India Fisher. And they're going to get together with Bob Shearman and India Fisher on Twitter. And they're going to sit here and you're going to tweet your stuff, just like you would with the regular watch-alongs, the lockdown watch-alongs. And, of course, look out for the hashtag plum pudding. And for you folks who've listened to this, you know what they're talking about. Trust me. So that's all I had today.
Oh, okay, cool. We'll get to the comments over here there, folks, and then we'll start off with our interview with Jeremy Radick. Ben Flay says that the TARDIS needs repainting. No, it doesn't. No, bring him out. Bring him out.
About to say, TARDIS has been repainted how many times since the beginning of the new show?
Now, Jeremy, you've seen the TARDIS when you were at that one convention there. Oh, go! Yep. No, that's inappropriate.
It knows that kind of show, guys. What we were doing.
Yep, that's the famous, or some people would think infamous, traveling TARDIS right there. And Melanie has had it for 2 months now? What she calls the lockdown? Yeah.
Yep, I've had her on lockdown since we came back from the UK, so it's been mine. You were supposed to get back for MegaCon, but maybe June.
MegaCon now.
Unless you want to put it in the post. Okay.
No,
You still get it back from MegaCon.
Just look at it.
Yeah,
now.
MegaCon
That's
2021. Exactly. Candice Russia, I just saw that last night. Thank you, Candice, for joining us. Thank you, Ben, for joining us. Kevin Mayo, greetings from England. Here for fellow Doctor Who fanatics. Stay safe from Kev Mayo and family. Thank you for joining us, Kev. We hope you enjoyed the show today there. And look at this troublemaker. Look at that. Garrett himself. Looking good, TLTT team. Yep, that is our producer and boss of the Hanging with Web show. Remember, check us out on the YouTube channel, HWWS Media, for all the family of the Hanging with Web show, including the Orlando Wizard and Saturday morning cartoons. Lots of content. Trust me, if you just sign up, you're going to get, and including the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. It's lost its bottom. Yeah, Ben, I won't go. Should I tell
lost? You have it.
Yeah,
keep it quick.
It's not lost.
You don't go an hour.
No, it won't be. It won't be an hour there. I just mentioned real fast, Jeremy. What happened is, have you ever been to SeaWorld? I think.
Okay.
Or know about it. Okay, know about SeaWorld.
I'm fascinated to see where this is going.
I mentioned SeaWorld. It was in trouble there. They have a bunch of pearl divers.
Okay.
And I took a chance. I asked graciously one of the pearl divers, could you take this underwater? I took a picture of her. It was a beautiful picture. She's holding right there with goggles on and everything. The pearl divers are supposed to be picking up the oysters. They take them to the oyster bar. They open it up, and the person purchases the pearl. She took it underwater. Well, unfortunately, I didn't realize all the water got inside the TARDIS, and as soon as she pulls it up, all that water pressure pushed the bottom out from the bottom.
Yep.
So there went that. So I was not happy about that. But that's how I lost its bottom. But I do have the bottom, and it's being used for doctors to sign up with. So all the doctors are going to be signing that. I'm hoping there along the way there. Also, I'm going to explain this when we get back from the commercial break. I want to talk about the elephant in the room because everybody's been talking to me about that. Maybe elephant wasn't the appropriate term to use for my picture, but okay there. There was an interview that I did last week about CyberCon with this lovely lady. This is Miss Allison Walker Torres from Spectrum News 13. And she actually came over and interviewed me. We were supposed to talk about CyberCon, but it just time didn't go our way, and she actually wasn't available until the day before CyberCon. So there was no way to do an interview about CyberCon. Now, CyberCon was our online convention that actually took place, which MegaCon was supposed to take place last week. And I got to be part of the interview of the Geekdom. So if you guys get a chance, you just go to Legend of the Traveling TARDIS on the Facebook page, the video. I'm part of the app now. My picture's on the app and such. You can check it out and check out the interview where I discuss what's going on with conventions. And I'll just wrap up the segment. Jeremy, what do you see the future of convention? We got a few minutes there. What do you see the future of conventions as far as what's going on? When was the last time you went?
I was at Gallifrey 1, not last year, but the year before. So not as a guest, but just as just to see friends and stuff like that. So that was the last con that I was at. And I did do some panels there and got to meet a lot of people and see a lot of friends through the con circuit. So that was the last one I was at. Was going to go this year. Here's the tricky thing about Gallifrey 1. They always do it around Valentine's Day. So that's a bit of a hard ask on my wife to be like, see you later. So if any of them are listening, maybe just, push it a little bit off of that. That'd be great. I don't know what the future of cons are going to be. This is a difficult, nobody works harder in my experience than convention organizers and volunteers. They're really amazing and they bust their butts, and usually just for the love of doing it, because Lord knows it's not an easy thing to be successful at. Even with a well-organized great con with lots of guests. So I really feel for them. So I'm of two minds. The one mind is that it's going to have to really get back to normal before people will feel comfortable going. But the other part of it is, I think the first con that happens after it gets back to normal and everyone's really comfortable, that's going to shatter attendance records. If I were them, I would work hard to book David Tennant or Matt Smith or Eccleston or somebody or Capaldi, blow the doors off the place, because it could be a really great thing. And also, and this is the other thing too that I do feel bad about, is that there's lots of people that
Actually,
that's how they see some of their best friends.
Jeremy, hold that thought. We're going to hit. No, we're fine. We're going to hit a commercial break. When we return, I'm going to let Jeremy talk about that thought, and we're going to discuss more with Jeremy Radick from the TV movie Doctor Who when we continue. Please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and become part of the legend.
It's Germany, 1938. Charlotte is a 15-year-old girl living in the Jewish quarter. George lives in the city proper, and enamored by Charlotte's charm and grace when she wanders into his cobbler shop, George decides right then and there that he is going to marry her. Follow along as this unlikely couple struggles to stay one step ahead of the Gestapo and their dramatic escape from Nazi Germany. Good things always happen in springtime, from author Joanne Fisher, on Amazon.com today.
Alien invaders enslave Earth,
Unleashing hunters into the ruin wastes.
one young survivor struggles to elude their monsters, clinging to hope.
When he's stolen off the planet by a sarcastic starship AI, they pit their uneasy alliance against a treacherous galaxy.
Explore a whole new verse of barbarism and betrayal
Wonder and Adventure
in the Scion series,
by Michael J. Allen.
beginning with Book 1, Scion Conquered Earth.
Available in print, ebook, and audio on Amazon.com.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS radio show. My name is Christian Basel. I am here with Dr. Freedom himself, Brian Burress. I'm here with Dave from the Rat Hole.ca. I am here with the lovely director and artiste you can see through either the StreamYard feed from Facebook or also on our YouTube channel, the lovely artiste Melanie Dean. And I'm here with our special guest, Jeremy Radick. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Jeremy. We did
that's all right.
our commercial. But yeah,
Tell me to shut up.
What's that?
You gotta tell me to shut up from time to time.
That's what wife's going to do when you tell her you're going to Gallifrey 1 on Valentine's Day.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Jeremy. Continue. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that with cons, the one thing I do feel bad about, aside from the organizers and volunteers, is there's people that's where, that's the only chance that they get to see people that they're friends with across the world and stuff like that. And if you've ever been at a con where you see people get together that haven't seen each other for a year or something like that, and they save up, and that's one of their highlights of the year. So I hope it gets back to normal. I really do. They're really kind of magical places. So for guests as well as go attendees.
Gotcha. Well, we do have a person in the chat. I want to welcome Ian Lamond. I hope I pronounced that right. My last Who convention and last convention I attended was WhoCon in Lincoln in 2014. God, that was just about 6 years ago. We need to catch you up over there. We've got tons of conventions going on here. MegaCon, whenever they start conventioning up. And folks, if you want to join us with the chat, go ahead and make sure that you are on the link for this page, and you just chat on the Facebook page like you normally would to a friend, and you can ask us any questions. We're here with our special guest from the TV movie, The Enemy Within. I think that's what it was called.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. I know. I was just like, it's an episode that didn't have a name, and for a while, I think they were kind of just like offshooting the name, and that's what finally stuck there. Jeremy, how did you get this role? How did you get the role? And the character is Gareth.
Yeah, well, that's a funny story, actually. So it's going to be a bit of a that's just cruel to show a 20-year-old version of yourself all the time.
You don't change. No, you look exactly the same, though. You haven't changed.
This took all day, Christian. This took all day. There's makeup. It's just, I went to bed at 4:00 in the afternoon yesterday. I've been prepped. I started acting when I was pretty young, but I'd been a lifelong Doctor Who fan around the same time that I started acting. So I was a pretty big fan. And I don't know where you guys fall in the whole history of fandom, but back in the early 90s, it was really hard, especially in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, to have any idea what was going on with the show. It had been off the air for a long time, and you heard all sorts of rumors. And so I was acting professionally. I guess for about that point, I'd been acting for about 5 or 6 years and had done a bunch of TV shows and stuff. And at that precise time, I was working on a festival of one-act plays written by teenagers in high school, and I was helping to produce it and stage manage it. And one of the actors came in and he said, "I auditioned for the weirdest thing today. It's some movie about like Sherlock Holmes in space, and he's in I don't know, like a vacuum cleaner closet, or I don't know what the hell it is. It's really weird. I've never heard of it, and apparently it's some big thing. And I had a million things on my mind, and I was just like not paying attention. And then about 5 minutes later, I went, "Wait, was it called Doctor Who?" And he goes, "Yeah, that's what it was called. It's called Doctor Who. Apparently, it's a big thing." And so, having been a fan of the show since I was conscious as a human being, I immediately called my agent and I said, I'll be a chair, I'll be a potted plant. If I'll be just hiding in the background. You can put me behind a curtain. I don't care. And my agent said, "Well, I didn't know that it's kind of in your wheelhouse, but I didn't submit you for it for a variety of reasons." And I'm like, "Well, we'll talk about firing you later." No, I was joking. I said, "Listen, whatever you can do, whatever you can do, just give him a call." And so he called the casting director, who had said, and I don't know how well you guys know casting works, but Jeffrey Sachs was the director, and they don't want him to see everybody under the sun. So the casting director brings in a wide variety of people that they think will fit for the role. They take what the agents submit, they narrow it down, they do a callback, maybe even another callback, narrow it down, so that when the director comes in, they're seeing 5 people tops, right? And so at that point, the casting director said, "Well, I've narrowed it down. I don't really want to bring in a bunch of people, and it's just I didn't really think about bringing them in for this." And my agent, to his great credit, said, "Listen, how many actors have you had to explain this show to?" And she's like, "Oh my God, I have to explain it to all of them. They know, because this is '96. Not a lot of people really knew about it, particularly in North America." And he said, "You'll never have to explain it to him. He's been watching it his whole life." She goes, "Okay, fine. You know what? This is when they're taking place. Tell him to come in. I can't guarantee I'll see him. Tell him to come in." So I came in, and they did see me, and luckily they cast me for it. And ironically, the guy that I had seen, the guy who told me about it, who auditioned for it, was auditioning. He was the last one auditioning that day, and then they squeezed me in right after. So he was just like, "Hey, I'll drive you back to town after this. We'll go back together." And that was an awkward car ride, where both of us were hoping that we would get the gig. So then they called me a couple of weeks later and told me I got it, and I did a very big happy dance, and that's how I joined. That's how I was cast, and it was pretty amazing. So,
were you reading for that particular role, or was it just a blanket one they were giving people to?
It was that role, but that role was a little bit different, as I recall. It was a lab assistant for the atomic clock, not a security guard. Mm-hmm. Which, if you've seen me, makes perfect sense, because no one would hire me as a security guard. I am like the most non-imposing person you can imagine, and I was also 20 years old, right? Not a lot of like 19-year-old security guards, but for some reason they changed the part in between my casting and thankfully didn't recast it. But yeah, so they changed the part slightly, and only I think Jeffrey Sachs knew I was a big fan, and Philip Siegel knew I was a big fan, but I didn't tell anybody else, because there's nothing weirder for Paul McGann than having to act across someone who is losing his mind quietly. I was also a huge fan of With Noel and I, which is a terrific Paul McGann movie. And so I could quote that movie. And so it was like, just play it cool. This is not a good thing to just be like, ah! on the set. So I played it very, very cool. And so like none of them knew I was this huge fan, but Phil Siegel did. And he was, I went and saw the Tardis, and the prop guys let me hold Sylvester's sonic screwdriver. And so it was I got to keep the jelly baby. It was great. The one I didn't eat.
Where is it now?
I'll tell you the thing about jelly babies. When you keep them for a long time, what happens is they shrink over time, like a weird calcified little nugget. So it is sadly gone now.
And this is before selfies and all that, because I could just imagine you on your cell phone going, "Oh, we're on break." Click, 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 click. This is the new TARDIS. Click.
That would not have been.
No. Those are the pictures you keep after, like, after the first, after everything's blown over, and then you go, "Yeah, I got this here."
Well, I did get a really nice letter shortly after we wrapped from Mr. Siegel. He sent me a very nice letter thanking me for being in the production, which is not a typical thing that happens in North American productions, particularly for people that shoot, a 1 or 2 day part on a movie. So it was really nice. It had the diamond logo on it, and he basically said, we look forward to Doctor Who airing as a new series on Fox in the fall, and that didn't happen, but it was a really nice letter. So I've got a lot of warm feelings for Siegel. He was a good guy.
And I'm mad at Fox. I actually, when I was a kid, I was going in college, and I did not know. I actually was recording something in the middle of the night, and for a good 3 seconds, there was a blip on my screen when I was recording, and it showed the TARDIS. And I remember the commercial because it showed the TARDIS flying down, which was supposed to be from the Trial of the Time Lord. It was floating down into the trial room, and you saw Paul McGann's hand go like this through the glass. Right. And then it said Doctor Who, and that was it. That was the end of the commercial. It was just like something coming up, and like, wait, what? Why? Fox? What? And like, I could not. I was like, they had not advertised it as well as I would think they would. I was just like, that was so disappointing there.
Yeah, and they put it up against the series finale of Roseanne.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big. It's counter programming, right? Like you wouldn't think like Roseanne fans, Doctor Who fans, they're the same group, but I think it was just such a huge show, and it was tough. And also, like, I don't know how much you want to go into it, but there's some problems with that TV movie. Mostly that it's like, it's somewhat impenetrable to people who have no idea what Doctor Who's about. And I actually think in a lot of ways, the stuff it did well is done in the new series, and the stuff that it didn't do so well, the new series learned from as well. So it's a really important thing. And I get lots of people who come up to me to this day and say that that's what got them into Doctor Who. It's amazing to me. It's like mystifying because it's so continuity heavy, but it must have just been fascinating. And it feels like Doctor Who, and I think people get the tone of it very well. So I'm super grateful for that, because I think Doctor Who needs all the fans in the world. So
it's a beautiful show there. We're about to come up to a break, but let me go to the chats over here. We got a chat from, hello, Richard Smith. Now, everybody, if you get a chance, and this is a wonderful thing that Richard's doing, check out his Facebook page, The Binary Sunset Church. Literally, he takes and he does Star Wars geekdom and mixes it with religion. It's to end the faux pas that religion and geekdom do not work together. He makes it so well, and he actually, his sermons mix up how Star Wars and the story of the Bible somehow work together. So he's trying to end that faux pas in there, and he's an amazing guy. But hello, talking about cons, did any of you hear about the survey that MegaCon sent out? I had no idea. If you got the info
or an exhibitor perspective, I go to my phone and look. 1 moment, please hold. No, okay, go ahead.
Jeremy, we had to do the whole show. We were going to Melanie find out. So you get the role.
Yeah,
you've done it. Everybody's seen it on TV. Actually, I'm going to hold this. I'll ask the question first, and we'll hold this over for the commercial there. But you get the role. Everybody sees you on TV. How does your friends and now the fans of Doctor Who react to you? But I'm going to hold it over right now for that, just to think about it. When we return, please continue to stay logged on, tune in, and continue to become part of the legend.
Now on Amazon.com, iCoin from author Jeremy Mosby. It's an alternate reality, and the leader of the planet iCoin is none other than Benjamin Franklin. when corrupt officials threaten not only iCoin but the Earth as well. An unlikely chosen one, Jeremy, must face dark foes to save the Earth and iCoin alike. Author Jeremy Mosby takes readers on a superhero's adventure through this compelling and imaginative alternate universe. Get iCoin on Amazon.com today.
Jackie Sonnenberg's My Soul to Keep is a ghost story rooted in the realities of actual cults. When 13-year-old Sky Monroe arrives at her new boarding school, all she can think about is death and connecting with the afterlife. Soon she discovers her school's spirituality group, the Guardians of Light, and they have a secret. They can speak with the dead, and the organization is a cult. But this isn't Sky's only problem. The campus house where Sky resides is haunted, and even the ghosts have an agenda. They intend on getting the souls they want. Filled with mystery and intrigue plucked straight from the headlines, author Jackie Sonnenberg's research and attention to detail give this ghost story an even more eerie atmosphere. Find My Soul to Keep on Amazon.com today.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. My name is Christian Basel. I'm here, the host and the driver of the TARDIS. As you can see behind me over there, it's gotten a little bigger, but actually Melanie has the real one. With us today is YouTube's Dr. Freedom, Brian Burress. We have Dave Chapman from the Rat Hole.ca, artist Melanie Dean. You can, if you're watching on the YouTube or watching us live now here on Facebook page, you can see all of her wonderful, beautiful art. I love 13. That has become my new favorite there. That and Captain Jack in the upper right-hand corner is real. Yeah, there we go. Pan it up there. Flaunt it, show it. That's right there. And we have the... Plugs. What's that, plugs?
I said shameless
plugs. Yep. As I say, get out the power strips. Here come the plugs. And we have the lovely Jeremy Radick from the TV movie in 1996 starring Paul McGann. We're going on an adventure with him. There's more. Let me just get more notes in from Richard over here, because he says it's a survey about COVID-19 restrictions. Social distancing, should con attendees get temperature checks, wear masks, etc. Thoughts? Okay, maybe Richard just joined us a little bit earlier because we did talk about that there. I do see kind of a well, Jeremy, let me go ahead and wrap up that question that I asked you there, and then we'll talk about, since we're leading into that, being in the con world there.
Right. Well, it's funny. I hadn't done a lot of cons. My part in Doctor Who was so small, and I at the time didn't think that it had the impact that I guess I learned that it had. And what happened was I was in Wichita, Kansas. I live in Kansas City, Missouri now, which is a whole other story. And I went to my first con in Wichita as a panelist. Someone had reached out to me, and Daphne Ashbrook was there, who was in the TV movie as Grace, the companion. And I hadn't seen her since we filmed. And so we ran into each other, and we chatted, and we did a panel with her. And it was great. It was just like old times. We spent a very long day and a half together filming that 20 years earlier. But, Daphne, if you've ever met her, is pretty wonderful and easy to get along with. So we had a good time. And she said, you should do more of these. At least do more of them with me, because then it'll be fun. And there was another show coming up, I think in Oklahoma after that. And so I went out to do that con as a guest. And Paul was there, and Yiji and Eric, and that's where that picture's from. Actually, it was the 20th anniversary kind of reunion. It was the first time I think that big a selection of the cast had been together, and Sylvester and everybody else. And that was amazing. It was great. I think Paul didn't know I was coming, because Paul just goes to so many conventions. He just goes like, "Where am I going? Am I going here? All right, I'll just show up. It's all right. Well, that's great." And he just kind of wanders in. And so it was funny. And Daphne, brought me over and said, "Hey, look who's here." And Paul looks at me and just kind of goes, "Oh my God." And he couldn't believe he hadn't seen me. We hadn't seen each other in 20 years. And we'd seen each other now since then 3 or 4 times. So the first thing that's very lovely is everybody's very welcoming, and the cast is great, and Yiji and UG to Eric to Sylvester and everything. It's great. I was a very small part of it, and it's nice to be included, and it's a treat for me. It's certainly nothing I've ever expected, and it was nice to do it. And I get to talk about some of the other shows that I've done and stuff like that. Some of them are, little parts here and there. And the other thing that's great is I get to meet like my heroes. Like I get to meet like Fraser Hines and Colin Baker, and I had breakfast with Peter Davison one day, which is something that I never thought would happen. So it's been a real treat, like a mind-blowing thing. But the best part is like the fans. Like there's people that honestly, this TV movie is really important to them, and it's sort of the touchstone of their fan base in the show. And I'm never someone that's going to get recognized on the street or anything like that, but when you go to the con and you get people that are excited about something that you did that long ago and that it meant something to them, that's what you want as an actor. It's not always necessarily money and fame, because that's pretty unlikely in that profession, but it's nice that you do something that touches people 20 years down the line. So that's great. And so for those people, I'll sign anything or come and talk to anybody or do anything for that, because if as long as they're excited to hear about it from me, then I'll come and do it, because it's genuinely nice to see people dress up as characters from that movie and come see us. It's really great. And I swear one time I'm going to cosplay as myself.
You should.
You should. Really
I love when people do that.
And just be Gareth and see what that happens.
Just walk around with your headset and a jelly baby, just like in mid bite.
Yeah.
And I was and if you have any questions for Jeremy or any of the teammates, please go ahead and chat along with us. Go ahead and type in. I'm going to get to your question, Dave, but I want to give him the thought because Jeremy brought up Sylvester and Daphne. I had the pleasure of actually taking Sylvester and Daphne on a tour to NASA.
Wow.
And if you want to talk, and I actually have a picture of Sylvester holding the traveling TARDIS in front of Atlantis. I was just that is, I'll find that picture. I'll send it to you. It was a total geek out. But the most famous thing was, and I couldn't help being myself, Sylvester was just walking around. We went into the cafeteria. I forgot what the name was. I think it's a lunch pad or something like that. He's just walking around aimlessly. And he almost looks like he's talking to himself. He's just walking. There are two girls sitting at a table.
It's not impossible. Not impossible.
He was just walking back and forth, looking at the menu, and these two girls would not stop looking at him. And they noticed that he was with me, and I would just walk up to him and I said, "Sylvester, is there anything you want?" And he goes, "I'm still looking." Whatever, however he talks. But then the two girls notice and drag me to their table and goes, "Is that who we think it is?" And I said, "Yes, that's Jodie Whittaker." So, so I had to be the jerk about that. But Dave, go ahead. I'm sorry, I had to tell that story.
It's a great story, so why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, you were saying, this is kind of really held on for a lot of people over all these years. Have you ever thought about kind of diving, like pushing back into it in a different way? Putting, because Gareth had a really odd, push in introduction of, hey, he has this big future. And then there was nothing.
Yeah. I haven't really thought about that. I mean, I've thought about, writing stuff here and there. It's something that I, sort of do now. So, but I haven't really thought about diving in. If people want me to, I mean, like everything, it's about what people want, right? And to some degree, I'm not the squeakiest of wheels, so it's kind of sometimes mortifying for me to think about like going to a convention with my Adventures of Gareth the Security Guard audio plays that I've self-produced or something like that. Well, I don't begrudge anybody who does stuff like that. If they're driven to do that and be creative, then that's fun. It's just not necessarily something that I would do. So if someone asked me or they were interested or there was a way to contribute, I've shared a few pints with Nick Briggs if he ever wants me to record something for Big Finish. Once again, will be a potted plant or a chair, which is very cheap for audio.
On audio.
but I'm not holding my breath for that sort of thing. You know, to me, mostly it's just I really do just feel fortunate that people are interested in anything that I have to say about something so long ago. So, you know, if someone's interested and I have a good idea about it, I certainly wouldn't put it off. So, yeah, you know, and I have done little things here and there for charity podcasts to sort of participate in before. So yeah, I no problems doing it. It's just not something that I'm thinking of myself. If you've got something, Dave, you want me to do a tabletop game or something like that, then, you know, Gareth the security guard, eat a jelly baby on your, you know, that's what you win at the end.
I think Melanie knows exactly what is going through my head right now.
Okay, don't take him away.
No,
I saw him first. No, just no. That'd be awesome. There, I just and the problem with the TV movie right now is that some of the characters cannot even be transferred over to Big Finish. Yuji could not be Chen Li, Daphne couldn't be Grace, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. There,
it's such a weird thing. Like, what as Universal? I mean, are they hanging on a Chang Li spinoff show?
Yeah, I know.
That's why you don't mess with Fox. Once they get their hands on something, they will never let it go.
Well, it's a weird conglomeration of people too, because Fox is the network on which it airs. Universal was the production company that produced it, and the BBC co-owns it. So I imagine that it's much more. It's basically like a stack of oranges in the groceries. Once you pull out one piece, who the hell knows what's going to happen? So I feel like that's where it's coming from. But honestly, I think Universal and Fox, whoever owns the rights to those characters, would probably earn more money off of them just by whatever licensing agreement they would get from Big Finish or BBC to use them. But, you know, that's, hey, above our pay grade. It's crazy.
It's just,
I had a quick question. You know, being a fan of the show, you know, before you set foot on there, when you first saw the interior of Paul McGann's TARDIS, so what did you think of that compared to what you'd seen on the show before? Because it was very, very different.
Well, I only saw production sketches when I was on set. In the production trailer. So I didn't. The set we filmed on location. All my stuff, so I didn't get to see any of it. But I knew that it was bigger. And then when I saw it on the screen, I'm like, well, that's the best. In some ways, I still think it's among the best the sets ever looked. It's just wonderful. I mean, the whole roof of the TARDIS becoming the ceiling, becoming a screen, and it was something to see. And I'm actually buddies with Paul Salmoff, who's the guy who actually owns the TARDIS console from that film, and he's a filmmaker in Los Angeles. There's a great movie he made actually recently called Encounter, which is really good. So that's a plug for Paul. But he's got the actual TARDIS, the screen used TARDIS prop. So, and it looks beautiful and it's great. It's impossible to not fiddle with. He gets very upset when I do, but someone's muted.
Yeah, is anybody still there?
Yeah, Jeremy, your audio went out a little bit there. Is everything okay? Okay.
Yeah, I can. You tell me.
Gotcha. If you want to repeat your answer, go for it. I apologize there.
Oh, sure. Where did we miss? Did we miss?
Yeah, I think within the first.
Pretty.
It's pretty. It's
very pretty.
I marked it. We're good.
You're good. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, we got Richard back. He says, since it's Fox's, wouldn't Disney get involved? Oh, yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah, I think Disney owns the catalog, the broadcast catalog.
Worse.
Oh,
that's a really.
Never gonna see this again.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the funny part about this, and I don't know if you're aware of this, Jeremy. At one point, because Universal and Disney owned Marvel, and they still do, I think. I still think they're in conjunction. You could actually find Marvel at both Disney and Universal Studios. The only other time that I had seen this beyond Marvel is Doctor Who. They actually, for a very short time, Universal, and I think because they're redoing the Terminator ride or the Terminator show, they had a gift shop that emptied out and there was Doctor Who merchandise. And over at Epcot in the UK, they have Doctor Who merchandise. And it was interesting too, because you can tell the growth of the show. It was literally a rack, like an end cap, and then it grew up into this wall, and then it just streamlined. So you can tell the popularity of the show by how they're selling products over at the Epcot Pavilion, which is really weird. But at one point, Marvel and Doctor Who were the only times you could, besides those candy, the giant size lollipops, was the only thing that you could see at both theme parks and continue. And it was just a weird thing. And still to this day, I know Disney is building that Marvel, or at least they're thinking about the 5th theme park, the Marvel theme park, which I'm hoping they go through it when all this goes away there. Well, folks, when we come back, we're going to continue and complete our discussion with Jeremy Radick, who was part of the TV movie. I would love to have been the potted plant behind Jeremy when he was standing there. When we return, please stay logged on, tune in, and continue to become part of the legend.
Deborah Parmley's Jenna's Christmas Wish.
Santa, if there's one thing I want for Christmas more than anything, it's someone to spend Christmas with. Someone who really wants me to be there.
Head to the mountains of East Tennessee with romance author Jenna Hart for a Christmas writer's workshop. Since her mother passed after a long illness, Jenna has had one wish. She doesn't want to spend Christmas alone. Meeting Niccolo Maldini, cover model and actor, could make more than Jenna's Christmas wish come true. Unless Ember, Niccolo's ex-girlfriend, does something crazy to stop them from being together. It's a mountain Christmas romance you won't want to miss in Deborah Parmley's Jenna's Christmas Wish. Now on Amazon.com.
Watch that finger, Jeremy.
I used the proper one.
You used the proper one. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final portion of this episode. My name is Christian Basel, the host of the Legend of the Traveling Tardis radio show. Again, if you are watching, if you're watching us either on the Facebook page or the YouTube channel, please make sure that you are subscribed and hit that notification bell on the YouTube channel. Also, Spreaker, CBSRadio.com. We're also on Spotify. Now we're on the NSCLiveTV.com. We're also on iHeartRadio, where all your favorite podcasts are, and also the Apple Podcasts and weekly on Krypton Radio. So don't miss out on that there. And Jeremy, I really want to see Vincent and the Doctor, but not the one that you're thinking. I want to see this Vincent and the Doctor.
Oh, God. I'm going to break everyone's heart. I'm not a fan of the Black Hole.
Really?
At all.
You
No.
mean you don't like the movie, or?
No, I don't like that movie.
A lot of people did not like that movie when it came out. Hence why it had become cult-ish. I liked it because I was so tiny. I didn't know better.
Right. I think the thing that I do like about it is absolutely fascinatingly insane in its climax, where you kind of go like, you're watching a space movie, then I guess they're in hell. I'm spoiling for the Black Hole, but it's a very weird, very, very weird movie. So yeah, something about Anthony Perkins. I don't know what it is about it I don't like, but I like Maximilian. I think he looks cool, but everything else in it, and the part with the big meteors coming down the corridor, that's pretty cool. But the rest of it, I just couldn't get behind it. So that breaks everyone's heart. But
it was too mature for its time. It was, for Disney film, it was way too mature for its time.
I know, especially that last scene where they're showing, Maximilian standing there, and you got the souls of the damned apparently going, and it's like that looks like the cover of a Megadeth album.
I think a lot of people at that theater and we're just like, what the hell did I just watch?
Yeah. It's like the first half of it was written by Terrence Dicks, and then the last half was written by Meat Roach. It's very weird. It's just a weird thing.
It's like it went David Lynch on us. I'm like,
very weird movie.
Now there's that scene where Reinhardt and Maximilian are like coming together. Now I'm hearing Meatloaf's "I will do anything for love." And they finally get together and just like, there's that scene where he's looking out of the robot's eyes, and I was just like, that I like stood still.
Yeah.
Or hid behind the couch. I'm like, he can't see.
Yeah,
I don't want
pure nightmare fuel.
Freaked me out.
It's a weird movie.
Oh my goodness, there.
Yeah.
So we're continuing our discussion, and folks, if you want to join in the conversation, please do chat with us. Just fill out chat, type it in as you would normally do to a friend, and we'll show it up here on and ask away to any of the teammates over here. We're continuing our interview with Jeremy Radick. Now, how has fame changed you?
You'd have to ask someone who's famous. I'm not. I mean, I was an actor for about 25 years. I started when I was 11. I did a lot of Canadian film and television, as a kid and into my adulthood. And then I studied in New York, and I did theater for the last bit of my career mostly. And then just got tired. I got very tired of it. And so I was never like angrily tired of it. I just did it for 25 years and decided it was time to do something else. And, so fame is not something that I've ever had to deal with, thank God. But it is nice that, the people I work with sometimes now at my new job, they sometimes figure out, they go back and watch an X-Files or an episode of Psych or something like that. And then they see something that I have done. I was in a wide assortment of very bad movies. Oh, look at that, Psych. So I was in a wide assortment of very, very bad movies. And some of them are just egregious and, come up here and there. So, I mean, yeah, fame is not, not a thing that really happens to me, but it is nice that something I've done, like I think X-Files, Doctor Who. There's also a little Canadian show I did called The Odyssey, which I still get asked about to this day, which no one's ever heard of that isn't Canadian and around my age. And though it's nice to have three things, right? Do you know, Dave? Do you know The Odyssey? There you go.
I not well. I know of it, but I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so it's those are the three things that I get asked about, and it's nice. That's a nice. I'm happy with that batting average over 25 years to have three things that still get talked about. That's gratifying. So, yeah, no fame, but it's nice to get there's still some interest out there. That's kind of nice.
So what's the proudest thing, aside from Doctor Who, what is the proudest thing you've done? And it doesn't have to be your favorite, but the proudest thing you've done as an actor.
As an actor?
Yeah.
Well, I think, the Odyssey was great. That was a really fun show. It was a show about a kid who, a young boy went into a coma and from falling from a treehouse. And when he's in the coma, struggling to kind of get well again, his brain kind of translates everything into this weird world where there's no adults, but there's a fascist dictatorship and there's all this subtext and stuff like that. So it's kind of like Mad Max meets The Wonder Years in a weird sort of way. And it was really imaginative and really interesting. And I got to play the Robert Oppenheimer character of the scientist who gets used by it. It's such a weird thing to say about a show with 12-year-olds in it, and 15-year-olds in it. And it was really about the trials of growing up and being disillusioned and stuff. So I was really proud of that. I think that was a show that was consistently interesting. And the first movie I ever did when I was 13 was with a movie called Angel Square with a guy named Ned Beatty, who's a great actor. And that was just a treat to work with him. I've worked with a lot of great people, but Ned is, he was one of a kind and a really great guy, and still is to this day. And that was fun. Those are two things that I was really proud of. And aside from that, there's just a lot of theater. I did a lot of theater, and I produced plays and I directed plays, and that was all good. It's really rewarding. Nobody came and saw you, and you go broke. But it's fun. It's fun to do. So.
And actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm gonna put this. Did you just post something in the chat, Dave?
Not me.
No, Dave.
I did. Yeah, I just threw in the IMDb.
Oh, the IMDb title. Yeah, I'll throw it in there then.
For Odyssey. As you're talking about, I'm like, yes. I remember all of this. Yes. That was, yeah. It's like I can see it running through my head and going, oh yeah, okay.
Well, folks, coming into the end of the interview, I just want to make you aware, folks, we have conventions. I normally would give you the dates. I'll give you the dates because if you want to plan ahead, because I don't know if they're going to be the same dates now as they were before.
And if you
What's
book,
that? Yeah, big asterisks, subject to change without notice, or maybe not as much notice there.
and if you book a hotel, make sure it's the refundable kind.
Yeah, exactly. And if you get a ticket, make sure read all the stipulations and stuff like there. The weekend of June 4th is the Traveling TARDIS returns to MegaCon Orlando. We'll have a booth. We will have panels. We should be there. Fingers crossed that everything goes okay. But it will be at the Orlando Convention Center right now, where they're doing COVID-19 testing. It's like, it's just like when I drive into the parking lot, when if we go and everything clears up, and it's like, isn't this where they did COVID-19 testing? Just like, exactly. Yikes there. June 12th, Kaiser SuperCon, better known as Kaiser College. We're going to be joined by Cookie Dough Cosplay. She will be hosting cosplay panels, and we'll be there at the college itself there. It will be June 12th, and I believe the 13th after there. Also, in South Florida, if it goes on, and I'm still kicking myself for this, July 3rd for the entire weekend of July 4th, we're going to be at Florida SuperCon in South Florida. Located at the Miami Beach Convention Center. Oh, gosh. And on top of that, I will be, because on top of that, the week after, see, this is the thing, Jeremy. What happened in Florida now is that all the big conventions, they're on top of each other right now, whereas they used to be spread out.
That sounds great. That's really safe. There you go.
After I go to Miami on July 4th weekend in Miami, I have to go the next weekend to Tampa Bay Comic-Con at the Tampa Bay Convention Center. Definitely Melanie will be there if I don't survive Miami. This is July 4th weekend. Yeah,
Melanie's getting promoted to the host of the show.
Oh, no.
And unfortunately, it had to be moved back, but the Traveling TARDIS will also be premiering at Con Castoribus at the Holiday Inn in Huntsville at Research Parkway. We are going to be there, hopefully, October 10th, and I'm hoping everything of this dies down. So I just want to let everybody know out there, we are trying our best to be at the conventions, and I truly want to tell you that we do miss people. Really? That's pretty bad, isn't there? Okay. Also, I don't know if we did this earlier, but I want to make sure we give a shout out. Yesterday was also Jenna Coleman's birthday, as well as Russell T. Davies. So happy birthday to Russell and Jenna Coleman. Oh my goodness there. Jeremy, where could people find you, and what kind of projects are you coming up with now? You said you're out of the acting?
I'm out of acting now, but I'm actually I'm also a freelance comic book editor. So I edited the Image comic series Rose. So that was the ongoing series that I edited, which was written by Meredith Finch and art by Iguara. So you can pick that up and trade paperbacks, particularly right now if you're looking for something to tide you over for coronavirus at fine comic book shops and Amazon. So it's called Rose. It's a fantasy series, and it's just 3 short trades. It's really great little story. And I just worked with Meredith again on an adaptation of the biblical story, the Book of Ruth, which she's adapted to Depression era, with gorgeous black and white art by a new artist named Colin Dwyer. And COVID-19 has unfortunately put some crimps in that publication schedule. It was due to be solicited next month. I don't know if that's still happening, but you can go to cavepicturespublications.com, which is the publisher. And I think the best way to do it is to go to if you are a comic book fan, contact your local comic book shop and ask them to order it in. So it's called the Book of Ruth, and it's going to be published hopefully in the next couple of months, and we're really proud of that one. So that's what I'm doing now, and please take a look. It's really a special book.
And I'll spare you guys from listening, rewinding this over and over again to get that information. Jeremy is going to send me the links to that, so we're going to put it on our podcast so that once we release the podcast out, you guys can check that out. It will be definitely, all the links will be on the Speaker podcast, but do check out all the stuff that Jeremy is coming up with. We want to wish you everyone be safe. take care of yourselves, stay home, whatever you need to do to take care of yourselves. But in the meantime, since you're home, please like us and tell your friends on Facebook to give us a like and just listen to the show. We are on all of your favorite media platforms. And want to thank everybody for joining us here at our first live chat, and hopefully more to come. Jeremy, did you have a good time?
I had a great time. Thanks for having me. Thanks for letting me blather on and on. So
this was fun, and we definitely want to have you back. Everybody else,
Anytime.
Please, thank you for coming with us along this ride. Please stay safe, stay logged on, tune in, and as always, become part of the legend. We'll catch you next time.